They said light rain in the morning,
Yeah.
and
A lot of
hopefully,
people worried about the rain there for a while.
yeah. But it said nothing in regard to thunderstorms, so hopefully that doesn't slow the game down. Well, today was Wednesday, and I thought we did a nice job today. We are, I think we're creating good habits in practice. I really appreciate our scout team. I know I say it a lot, but they're so crucial to us getting a look. And one area I thought we improved was on our kickoff coverage and kickoff return units. At least the practice was very sharp and not perfect, but I see progress there. That was nice to see. But anyway, you guys can ask me what you want to ask.
Y'all work any extra on the kickoff coverage this week?
Not extra, not extra, but um, just I would say maybe more of an emphasis on just teaching these young guys exactly how to do what they're supposed to do, and um, I just thought the reps were very good. We had some Monday, we had some today. You know, it was good. This kid, excuse me, this kid, number 25, can really go, and he's dangerous. And they I think they had two for touchdowns already this year. So we better get better. I don't think our kicker can hem this guy up.
I was just following up on that. You had mentioned that 9 true freshmen were on that. Different incarnations, different years you've had.
Mm-hmm.
You said we're going to put veterans out there. You know.
Yeah. Well, that was our original plan. That was our original plan, and we're still getting those guys in position to work. But there's some areas where we're thin, and when you're thin in certain position areas, you get a little concerned about, getting guys on the specials. You don't. Have we really bitten the bullet like we should? I don't know, but it's just like when Rico McGraw gets hurt. And then all of a sudden we got to make some moves, and we were thinner at certain spots, and we pulled Mauger off the kickoff return team last week, and there's been a few other things like that over time. When you get a Reggie Carter issue or whatever it may be, when your depth gets thin, you get more concerned about that. And the other thing is, I'll say this: these freshmen are talented. These freshmen are very capable physically to be really good. So it's not like we're throwing guys out there that don't have the ability. We're throwing guys out there that don't have the experience. And that's where we just got to keep working hard with these guys.
How receptive has Keith Marshall been in that aspect as a veteran to step in on the kickoff coverage team?
Well, that's been good for the young guys to have him there, and his job, is a very important one. And at this moment, we have enough depth at the at the running back position where we're not as concerned. And we got Sony starting on 3 units right now. But I guarantee if something, last year when you have some of the running back issues we had, I guarantee there wasn't a running back on those teams last year. It's just one of those years.
Mark, about the game itself, it's rather historic since Georgia's never played a historically black school. In fact, only half of the teams in the SEC can say as much. One would think maybe in scheduling there might be some stimulating factors behind scheduling a historically black school. But did you say yesterday the conference schedules the?
Well, somebody asked me the timing of these games, of non-conference games, FCS games. That was the question of, like, do you like them this time of year, early, middle, late? What I was talking about is, the SEC will make the schedule, and then we kind of plug in.
Not necessarily the opponent. They don't make the opponent.
No, they don't. Okay. They don't. Now, every once in a while, in ESPN or even the league might get in the middle of something like that, but not to my knowledge on this one, or really. And sometimes those kickoff games, like we're about to play, I think, North Carolina next year. So ESPN will come to you and say, "Hey, are you interested in doing that?" Or Gary Stokan will come to us and say, "Are you interested in a game like that?" Or, so there'll be some outside interest that'll get involved sometimes.
What have you seen out of the 2 corners, Parrish and Davis, first 3 games?
Solid. solid. I'm trying to remember of any deep balls right now that went for touchdowns. Most of the more explosive pass plays have been down the middle. It seems like I can't remember any on the edges. So, and those guys are very involved in supporting the run. And overall, I think they've done a very nice job.
Touching on Keith Marshall again, talking to him yesterday, he says that he feels like physically he feels that he can perform as well. I mean, running in a straight line, everything else as he did as a freshman year before the knee injury. How have you seen him adjust to? I mean, it's a new role.
Right.
He's 13.
You know what?
Those other guys are playing well in front of him.
He really shown up every day and worked hard. He's had a good attitude. I've got no complaints with him. I think he's whatever role we're asking him to play, he's playing to the best of his ability. I haven't seen any bad body language in practice or anything like that. He's been a very good teammate.
Grayson was, when talking to him yesterday, we were speaking about the tempo of the offense in practice, and he said there was, I guess, at one point, now I'm not sure what day it was, where you told the guys they were like 8 minutes ahead of schedule. Was that just indicative of how fast they were going?
I think some of that is just maybe the number of plays we might have scripted. We might have misscripted a little bit, but I don't know if we're going that lightning speed. But there is good tempo in between snaps, and if you go by old scripts and how many plays per minute, how many the way we practiced before, if we huddled in between every play, you just didn't get nearly as many plays. So we didn't decide to add a whole bunch more plays because we could. We're like, hey, you get it done, and you get it done correctly, and then you may get a little break in the action, then we'll go to the next period. So there's an incentive to not only go with good tempo, but execute, because any play that's not executed properly, they just re-rack it and do it again. So, if they have good tempo and don't make a lot of mistakes, they will get ahead of the schedule, and they will get a little bit more of a break than they normally would.
When you're considering taking on a transfer, someone like Jake Annis or Grayson Lambert, how much do you talk to the former coaching staff that player was on?
In this case, I didn't talk with either of the coaches. Some of our assistants may have. I really don't know. By them being able to, have a release and have permission to speak, those are grown kids, and so we were able to bring them on campus and meet them and get to know them for ourselves. And I think their body of work. I mean, both of them starters, both of them captain-like material, and with Grayson graduating in 3 years. I mean, there's just all the signs of dealing with the right people. So it wasn't like you had some guys that had issues. They're leaving your program. Why are they leaving your program? It was obvious why Jake left, and then it was very public why Grayson left.
Coach, I was talking to Malcolm Mitchell yesterday, and he was talking about Malcolm Parrish, about his competitiveness, and he's not the smallest, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but you never see him really hesitate to kind of come up and make a tackle. I mean, what have you seen out of him in terms of,
Right.
we talked about both guys a minute ago,
Right.
what have you seen out of him in terms of competitiveness?
Well, he's very well built. So he's not the tallest, but he is built well, very sturdy. So he's not afraid to strike when it comes to tackling and things of that nature, and he is very competitive. He wants to win, and he's almost always in the right position. When the ball's in the air, deep balls, things of that nature. But there may be a time or two that a taller receiver may just get the ball because of the height issue. But other than that, he competes very well.
Give you an indication yet how much longer Reggie Carter, Christian Payne, and Rico are going to be out?
It'll be a while. I say a while. It won't happen this week, and probably not next week either.
All three of those guys?
Say them again.
Rico McGraw,
Mm-hmm.
Reggie Carter, and Christian Payne.
Well, let's just say we count them out for this week. Ask me Monday.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yep.
You aware that your next win ties you with Wally Butts for second most here?
I was told by Chuck Dowdle on yesterday. So Chuck had mentioned that.
Does that kind of mark matter to you at all?
Well, I mean, it means you've been around a while and you've won some games, obviously. In his era, I don't know how many games a year they played, probably 9 or 10, or I don't know how many they played. So I don't know if it's as significant as if we were only playing 10 games a year. I wouldn't be there yet. You know what I mean? So just by virtue of the fact that we play more games, but it's it's nice to see your name next to a Wallace. I mean, a Wallace Butts.
Well, the buildings call it Butts Mare.
Mm-hmm.
If you pass both of them.
Well, I think they won championships, if I'm not mistaken. I think we had a couple SECs, but they got to win a national championship before they start naming stuff after you.
What is it about Dominic Sanders' makeup that makes him an impressive football player, especially so early in his career?
Well, I really don't watch or see many interviews, but last night I had a little time and I did listen to the interview that he had, and I learned a little bit more about him and what motivates him and makes him tick. But he is a very serious guy. He's a very determined guy. Why? What's his why? Heard a little bit of that, and so I don't need to repeat it for him, but he showed up on a mission. You see it. A mission to be mature, be responsible, be the guy that coaches can count on, do everything in his power to play. And then, why he does that, I guess we learned a little bit more about that yesterday.
Has he surprised you so far with how much he's accomplished in such a short span of time?
Well, now going into the second year, not really. I mean, a year ago, just to see him do what he was doing right off the get-go. I mean, some of it had to do with just attrition at the position, and just somebody had to play. So if we had a bunch of 3 and 4 year veterans back there, he may not have made that type of an impact. But because of the depth issue and his maturity, he got to get in there and make a bunch of big plays for us.
What you mentioned after I think it was after the Louisiana Monroe game about Terry Godwin, ball security, and kind of getting that. Has he kind of worked those issues out? He seemed to be having a really good day.
He's getting better. Well, he catches the ball well. I mean, obviously he catches the ball well. But even in practice, it's not like a game, because you may have the scout team try to strip the ball a little bit, but we don't want the guys on the ground. We're not tackling. We're not striking. So you get in the game. That's when you really find out how good a guy's ball security is. And sometimes when you do it perfect, it still comes out. But most of the times the ball is out away from the body, and it somehow gets knocked out, or a guy is trying to switch from one hand to another, or whatever it may be. So, he's still got a ways to go on his fundamentals, but he's not the only one. I mean, it's hard to be perfect on ball security because you get off balance, and that's why, you'll see our coaches do drills where they're hopping on one foot or going over ropes, or they're doing some kind of drill jumping over bags or something to try to keep the ball from coming out here, because you lose your balance. You tend to want to put your arm out to gain balance, and when you put your arm out, now the ball's exposed. So it's very unnatural to keep it like this when you're off balance. That's when the ball comes out. Or the other time is when you're running and you're seeing what's happening here, but you don't see that big 260-pound defensive end that runs 4.44 or whatever, and he's getting ready to strip it out from behind too. So that's why it's just so crucial to always have that thing high and tight.
Has it been hard keeping your team focused on just this week?
I think we've had a good focus this week. I really do. I think we've worked hard. I think like I said, I think our scout team really did a good job. We just talked about the fact that in football, and probably most things in life, you're going to get either better, you're going to get better, you're going to get worse. What's it going to be today? We can't afford to get worse. We got to keep getting better. And the points of emphasis were discipline and technique. because I was telling the team that I don't think we have a missed assignment issue. I don't think we have an effort issue. We got our ball security is not perfect, but we're +3, so it's not awful, but we certainly can get better. Those are really crucial things in a game, but technique and discipline, and I'm talking about discipline in regard to penalties. We have too many penalties right now, and but 0 penalties on offense 2 days in a row. Most of the penalties have been a guy, an alignment issue, or a couple times the cadence was called and Kublana was pointing out a Mike linebacker and didn't snap it on time. I mean, made it look like everybody was offsides, but it was him not snapping the ball on time a couple times. But, we just got to work on not having any self-inflicted wounds with our discipline, and then just, like I said, get better technique-wise, and that's what we've been working on.
Coach, what have you seen out of Devin Bellamy so far this year? I know he's had a couple of his first starts.
Yeah, just energy. Guy plays with good energy, and he's becoming a more physical guy at the point of attack, and he's really got a pretty good pass rush too. He's a good blend of a guy that can set the edge. We always talk about setting the edge as a defensive end, and you got to be physical to do that. But you also have to you have that great agility and speed to come off the edge and rush the passer. He's got a good blend of that.
Last question. Where are you guys at in terms of red shirts and those freshmen? I mean, have you made the decision on some guys?
Gosh, we've made no decision on anybody yet, other than a lot of guys have already played, so I guess that's making a decision. But, when we get into game 5 or whatever, I guess we'll take a look. But nowadays, I'm not as, I don't know. I don't think as much about redshirting guys as I used to, because I think not many guys stay 5 years anyway. And even if they play just a little bit, they're just so much more ready to play. And there's a bunch of guys that a year from now are going to have to play. So if you know a guy's going to have to play for you next year, you might ought to get him as many reps as you can possibly get him, because if he's a redshirt freshman, he's almost like a true freshman in a lot of ways. So if you get him, I'd rather have a true sophomore that's got a few plays under his belt than a redshirt freshman that hadn't played a game.